Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert here from the Business Awards show, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Ruth Robb of Azalea, who has just won the Charity Champion Award at the Best Businesswomen Awards, which I also organise every year. And the Business Awards show is all about talking to people who've won awards, but also about their journey and a bit about their business or their charity. And Ruth does some amazing work, which our judges were completely bowled over by what she's doing with Azalea in Luton. And I'm just delighted that we were able to recognise all of that work, and we will be fundraising for Azalea in 2024. So Ruth, welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
So tell me a bit about Azalea and what Azalea does.
So Azalea is an anti-sex trafficking movement, which means that we find anything to do with sex trafficking abhorrent, and we're not tolerant towards it in any shape or form. We're a Christian charity, which means that we're non-judgmental, and that's what we do. And we're based in every aspect of sex trafficking, be that child sexual exploitation, be that women who are trapped in sex trafficking, be it Flint, which is for sex buyers, be it for local communities that want to know what on earth am I going to do with this abhorrent evil that's happening on my streets, in my next door neighbour's house. How am I going to move on this? And also consulting and partnerships, which is about taking the core values of Azalea and supporting other teams to be empowered to have similar replications.
So Azalea has been going for some years now. So where did your involvement with Azalea begin?
It began at the beginning. It began at my at my kitchen table, as so many charities and businesses do, don't they? And it began with the passion that everyone has a right to justice. No one should be told who they're going to be because of their background and their environment. So many of our women are fourth and fifth generation involved in sex trafficking. So it's a constant expectation that it's a conveyor belt of abuse. And everyone has the right to change. And I believe that very strongly. Who has the right to tell somebody they're going to be like this because of their background and their environment?
But I'm intrigued to know how it came onto your radar.
Yeah.
How did you realise that this was going on?
Yeah. So I've been involved in this kind of work for 36 years. And it's just about getting on with it. It's about showing up. And I haven't come from any background connected to sex trafficking, but I heard about it when I was a teenager, before I did my social work training, and I was just struck by the extreme injustice of it, extreme, and the sense of unbelievable hopelessness that once you're in it, you can't get out.
So your background was social work before you set up the charity?
Yes.
Oh, I see. So you'd obviously been dealing with women and families that had been victims of this throughout your work.
Yeah.
So where did the name Azalea come from?
Azalea in ancient Greek means beautiful and dignified. And it's an incredible plant because it thrives in really difficult circumstances. So the harder the soil, the better the outcome for the flower.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that's like our women. You know, the harder the circumstances, the more they flourish to be who they were meant to be.
So for people listening to the podcast, I mean, how does the programme of support work? So somebody might come to you for support who is stuck in sex trafficking. Is that how they would access your support, or would it be from partner organisations, or both?
Yeah, so Azalea isn't a beather. Azalea works in conjunction with partnerships. We cannot do what we do without the police, without Border Force, without Interpol, without drug charities, without housing associations. The list is endless, and we can't do it without. So we have all these mechanisms for women to be able to know about Azalea, be it at court or probation or prison. The list is endless, but this is what's really interesting. 90%, I think it's 96%, I'm just correcting myself, the women come through peer referrals. It's through one person being accepted, being cared for in Azalea, will then refer someone else that they know who's trapped in sex trafficking. And that is how the women come to us. So many of the women, and we're beginning to realise this since COVID, and we've had an explosion of 48% increase to do with our Encompass, to do with the women's work. So many of them are not able to come to the building because of their perpetrators. So we go on outreach, and one of our passions is to go to where the needs are greatest, and outreach facilitates that.
You've got a van, haven't you?
I would have that. We are just so excited. It is Christmas all over again. So we've had our 15 years anniversary, and I don't know about you, but I like to get a present when it's a 15-year anniversary. And so we asked the women, you know, how can we do it better? How can we improve? And they just said, up the outreach, come to us more, drop in. One of the women said it as a throwaway comment, drop in to us.
Making it easier, more accessible.
Yeah. So let's do it literally on wheels for them. And let's create that. They know it's something beautiful about asking them, what sort of present do you want? How can we serve you the best way, rather than us thinking that we know.
And how many women a year are affected by this? Do you know the statistics on
that? So on average, we have each year we engage with between 142 and 154, but we reckon it's going to be in the 170s this year. And
that's just in the Luton area alone.
Yeah, it is. But we're having so many more internationals that we ever used to have. But the van will also go to other places where there's been a pop-up street work. So where sex trafficking has gone to areas where it hasn't gone to before because of economic deprivation. And also pop-up brothels will be able to work with Border Force and Interpol and the police and respond to those there.
So whilst they come in to sort of maybe sort out the criminal aspect, you're there to support the women and help them, which is really important.
It is. So, I mean, it's so important. It's so important that sex trafficking, for the women who are, I don't like the word victim, but survivors of sex trafficking, that they are not criminalised. So that's why the van is so important, because before Azalea was involved, they used to be handcuffed and taken to the police cells, and then you wonder why they don't share their intelligence.
Because it's actually the organised crime groups that you want to sort of get to stop it. So I mean, honestly, if there's 150 women in Luton and you extrapolate that out across the UK, it's tens of thousands, isn't it?
It is, and it's in every village, every city, and every town, but it's perhaps more hidden in other more affluent areas, but it still goes on because it's about human nature. So,
and I'm guessing because you're in close proximity to Luton Airport, that's why you're getting a lot of people coming in from parts of Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. And also Dunstable Lorry Park.
Oh, right.
And we're finding that a lot of Indigenous British people, their attempts to export them out to Eastern Europe, because there's some demand for that physically type of woman.
So you're now finding that women are being taken out of the UK against their will over to Europe. That's very scary, isn't it?
It's very scary. And they don't realise, because of the massive increase of social media dating, people, there's a naivety, there's a trust that the profile that's in front of them is the profile that they're going to meet. And
also these organised gangs are using social media dating websites and dating apps to sort of ensnare younger women into their traps, as it were.
Absolutely. Particularly OnlyFans is horrendous. But also they're also able to infiltrate other sites that have more of a respectable tone to them. Wow.
I mean, week to week, what sort of work are you doing? I mean, talk us through a typical Azalea week.
Azalea week. So, there's so much to say. So we have Encompass, we have drop-in 3 times a week, where we're able to support the women, access them, escort them over the road to help with housing. And then there's Flourish, which is the therapeutic support, which is really important. That's for women who have got enough confidence to say, yes, I want to leave. Yes, I want to have other skills in my life. So they learn art, they learn barista training, and land up with a really good qualification. Had a brilliant group today actually from that, and cooking as well, to learn how to stick to a budget and cook. Sewing, absolutely love sewing. So that's Flourish, that goes on through the week. We also have a huge amount of Flint mentoring that goes on, mainly through Zoom. So that's sex buyers. Very occasionally that will be face to face, but on the whole, Zoom is the preference medium. And then consulting and partnerships, I on average connect with 6 projects a week from international places, and do mentoring with their CEO, and go through what policies mean, and work with them to make sure that policy isn't a duplication, isn't a replication of what we do here, but is contextualized with their local surroundings, because it's so important that it has an individualization around it. And I talk a lot, as you can tell.
I saw you speak. Do you remember? I saw you speak at an event once, and I was just so bowled over with your genuine nature in the way you spoke from the heart, and the way that most of us in the room, I think, didn't really consider what is going on behind the scenes in our streets, behind the net curtain, as it were. I think if you don't come from that world, you're not familiar with it. You don't know that that's what's going on, and you don't realize how many women are sex trafficked against their will, and they know, you know, they go into this not knowing what they're going to be dealing with. So setting up a charity is not for the faint-hearted, and 15 years is a very long time. So I'm just keen to understand what challenges you've come across over the last 15 years, and what's been some of your greatest challenges and triumphs as well. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, I love seeing the volunteers come in quite apprehensive, or staff members, and seeing them flourish. I love that. We have an incredible consortium of volunteers and staff who sacrifice so much to be with us on this journey, and I love that. I love to see the transformation in them, and I love to see the transformation in the men and the women in the communities, obviously, but it is very powerful to see the staff and the volunteers come forward. And also people donate who wouldn't normally donate. So we have someone who brought clothes in a couple of days ago, and they've never done anything like that before, and I love that, because we're all better people if we're giving.
I agree.
And it's lovely to see them flourish more in who they were made to be. And Azalea is about local solutions. So you have people who make meals, people who make cakes, people who knit, and messages like that are really important, because it's never about the food, and it's never about the gloves and the hats. It's always about stranger love, stranger kindness, because they have stranger danger all the time through sex buyers, and to receive extraordinary acts of kindness, and people that work crazy hours and yet decide to make 40 meals for them, yet decide to knit them, is a very powerful metaphor, and it's very powerful for their self-esteem.
So have a lot of the women come from backgrounds where they weren't nurtured and loved earlier on in their life? So your charity is absolutely giving them that love, which is amazing.
Yeah, and it's so vital that they know that they are to be celebrated. So many of the women don't realise that it's their birthday. And so we celebrate birthdays here, and sometimes you have not an argument and not an altercation, but it's like, oh, it can't be my birthday, it was my birthday last year. And we said, yeah, that means you've got another one coming up just now. And just that realization that they don't have a clue about any of those things. So we open over Christmas, and a lot of them don't have alternatives of what to do for Christmas. And we need to be reliable, because so many people have let them down. And sex buyers in particular promise the women so much and don't deliver. So it's really important that we under promise and over deliver. Yeah, where they over promise and never deliver, to be blunt.
So that's amazing. What about your challenges? What sort of challenges have you experienced?
Two really sad ones, I think, for me. So if I'm honest, I was once I was on outreach in the car, and I was turning right, and we have a rule that when we see the women in sex buyers' cars that we don't ever look at the driver, but because of the transaction I had to, and I knew him, and he was my he's my son's friend's father.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah. And I live 9 miles away, so that's quite a big deal. And he was the major caregiver. So I saw him every day at the school gate. So I talked to him the next day and said, look, I saw you. And he said, oh, I was just giving her a lift. I said, look, it's okay, I saw you, and I need you to know a couple of things. I need you to know that what you've told when I saw you, I'm not going to talk about this to anybody else. This isn't going to go around the playground. This is your challenge, not mine. But if you ever come to a day when you feel that you want help and you want to stop that, come to me. I won't ever bring this subject up again. I'll probably see you for the next 6 years at school assemblies and at the school gate, but I won't ever. And he thanked me and walked away, and we never talked about it again. And I saw him every day, every school day. So that was a personal thing that was quite hard to me, because I thought there's so much more to life that you could have. And there's no judgment with us. We will support you to leave this. So that was really hard. And another thing that was really hard was a woman that we worked with very closely. She was really hard work. She was quite very violent to a lot of the other women. She came to drop in once, and she lost her temper for about a long time. Again, it was about the birthday. How dare you celebrate my birthday? I am rubbish. I am terrible. I am awful. And then she left. And then about 2 years later, we didn't know where she was. She was very thin, horrendous abuse from her perpetrator. She phoned up and said, just to let you know, I'm out. I've got a new life and I'm doing really well. And she was, and she did extraordinarily well. And being involved in sex trafficking and being a drug user means that you're unable to feel physical pain when other things go wrong in one's body. And that caught up with her, and she died very, very suddenly. And but she'd had quality time with her family. She had restoration of relationships, and it was beautiful. And she'd formed her own business. And you know, Debbie, it's so hard to make a profit in the first year, and she did.
Amazing.
She was a really talented person. And although it was really sad that she died, it was really good, because it was a really good ending. And they said really clearly in the medical reports that it was unbelievable that she'd lived as long as she lived with the condition of her body.
Amazing.
But it felt a sad day.
Yeah, I can see that. And how do you insulate yourself against all these stories? Because obviously week in, week out, you're dealing with difficult situations. So how does Ruth insulate herself?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I have professional supervision. I have that every 3 weeks. We talk about it morning, noon and night, self-care. How does that look? I have really trusting relationships, and I have a work phone.
So you separate.
Really,
really
I'm
important.
very compartmentalized. And I pray, and I get really angry. Anger is a good thing. It's a good emotion. I get really angry about how the women are treated. And I talk about that a lot in the group. And
Wow. So awards.
Yes.
So how did it feel to be crowned Charity Champion 2024?
Do you know, this might sound a bit dramatic, but it was really overwhelming, because we kept going during Azalea. During COVID, we kept going. Azalea was, with the permission of the police, we kept going. We kept having clients, and we empowered our values. We lived by our values, and it felt a little bit like, it was just so good that we'd been seen, and that had been acknowledged. And I can talk about this for hours and hours, but our volunteers and our staff are absolutely brilliant, and I felt it was just so good for them to be seen. And it was just lovely. And I came back and I told the women, they were just so excited. And there was something that I hadn't quite envisaged telling them, in that they felt valued. They felt seen. They felt that other people find it a abhorrent what's happened to them.
Yeah. And I mean, our
yeah.
awards are judged by a judging panel of experts.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's always, you could say that charity work is subjective, isn't it? Oh, well, what one person might find inspiring, somebody else. I mean, all the charities that were shortlisted this year are all doing amazingly.
Yeah,
but you just kind of edged it. And I think you edged it because of your dedication to the cause. And I think that they chose you, commented that this is a topic rarely talked about and needs to be talked about more. So I think from that perspective, the judges wanted to push you out there a bit more. The topic is not, you know, and we need to, and as an awards for women, this is going to be an ideal forum to be able to share your work next year.
Yeah,
with a room full of women.
Yeah, it's tremendous. And I was shocked, Debbie, as to how strongly the women felt about it, that they were seen. And it was really important for them. They thought, yeah, we're seen. Other people are really bothered by us, because they feel that often, you know, they're forgotten in their bubble. And it was really important for them. And I was able to ask them for some quotes on what they thought of it. And it was just really incredible.
And you put that into your entry, didn't you?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So I think it gave the judges a real good steer on just the difference that you're making. So what's on the agenda for Azalea for 2024? What's the plans next?
Yeah, oh, it's just absolutely huge. To really go forward with the international support a lot more, and to really support the police and border force and Interpol in doing pop-up warrants for brothels that are here, there and everywhere, particularly the ones through Airbnb. Yeah, it's a huge marketplace for sex trafficking, and to really deal with that in hearts, beds and bucks, and to continue to have those conversations with concerned mums and aunts and neighbours about their teenagers, about what's happening to them. And that is a huge privilege, because you're really preventing the cycle. And that's tremendous. And to grow our consulting and partnerships, because life is short, and just to get our influence out here, there and everywhere is really important.
So if anyone's listening to this, what can they do to help you?
The biggest thing that they can do is contact us and ask that question, and then I can listen to who they are and what they can provide and take it from there. I love the idea of individual, just listening rather than a blanket statement, because some people have said, oh, well, I live loads away, I could have a house party and you could come and talk to it, for example. That is a brilliant idea. Or we can give handbags for the women. You know, the ideas are endless, but I hate the idea of charities just being associated with money, because it's so much more than that. Partnership is so much more, and everyone has a right to give, and our women make little soaps to give to people that give to Azalea, because they have a right to thank, don't they?
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
So we will make sure that Azalea's details are in the show notes, and if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put the details into our YouTube channel. It's been lovely talking to you. You're an incredibly inspiring woman.
Oh, I've really enjoyed you, Debbie. You're lovely.
If the world had more Ruths, it would be a much better place. Be more Ruth, everybody. See a need, set something up and go for it. And that's what you did. And it's incredible that, you know, you've been recognised for that hard work. And the women of Luton are very lucky to have you in their midst, having their back and sorting and giving them that lovely support that you wrap around them. So I wish you continued success with Azalea, and we will see you at the awards next year, where we'll hear more about the charity, and we will do some fundraising for you as well. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you.